Okay, so I'll continue reading and sorry for the interruption. So, instead, Palmer's Justice Department had kept tabs on known arches and had a good idea of where to find the people connected to the bombings. Palmer created a new department, the Bureau of Investigation, to investigate the bombings, and he put J. Edgar Hoover, a young Justice Department lawyer, in charge of the Bureau. On November 7, 1919, Hoover and agents of the Bureau stormed the offices and homes of members of the Union of Russian Workers in 12 cities. The goal was to arrest the leftist organization's members and deport them out of the United States. In January of 1920, additional raids were carried out on other leftist and anarchist groups. The only problem was that the vast majority of the men arrested had not broken any laws. They had not planted bombs, and most had not even called for the overthrow of the government. Hoover and Palmer had arrested men for simply holding opinions. The public was outraged by what the press was calling the Palmer raids, and so too were federal judges and other Justice Department officials. Lawyers refused to deport the arrested individuals, and judges threw out the cases. Instead of protecting Americans' rights, the Justice Department, they argued, had taken away the citizens' rights. Palmer's political career was ruined, and the Justice Department itself was both real and assumed powers. The Palmer raids did have two victors, though: the Constitution, which was upheld, and J. Edgar Hoover, who found himself in charge of a brand new enterprise, a Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI. You can assume from the passage that Territory Act is one that is violent and target homes of politicians. Wide-reaching scope done for political reasons gets the attention of the press. I'll need to find down the details. Anarchist terrorists. Act of terrorism. Included politicians. Targets home politicians, but read this sentence. Because the target included politicians, the bombing was assumed to be acts of terrorism, so it need to have something to do with politicians in this case, so I'll choose the option A. Wait. Seriously? Let me check why I was wrong. The passage defines terrorist actions in the first paragraph. There it states that the bombings on Palmer's and others' home were assumed to be acts of terrorism because the target included politicians. It goes on to state that bombs turn out to be politically motivated. This implies a terrorist act is a violent act done for political reasons. Because of this, choice C is correct. The passage does suggest that the bombings of Palmer's and others' home were acts of terrorism. However, it doesn't suggest that all acts of terrorism necessarily target politicians' homes. Just because one terrorist action includes politicians' homes as targets does not mean all terrorist acts do. Therefore, choice A is not correct because it is too limited in scope. Oh yeah, I get it. Which of the following is the best definition of deport as it is used in paragraph 4? So scroll down a little bit, we see the deport word, and let's read out the sentence. The goal is to arrest the leftist organization's members and deport them out of the United States. So let me guess it first before looking it up in the dictionary. I mean B, right? B really makes sense here, but let me check to be sure. So deport here means to expel a foreigner from a country, typically on the grounds of illegal status or for having committed a crime. So that's further to support my opinion, so I'll choose B. Next question. According to the passage at the end of 1919, J. Edgar Hoover was in charge of. We have 4 options. Let's read it together. The Galeni Movement, the Union of Russian Workers, the Justice Department, and the Bureau of Investigation. Okay, so let me see, at the end of 1919, so it's supposed to be around here. So here, right? Find the timeline. The Bureau of Investigation, or Hoover and agents of the Bureau stormed the offices and homes of members. Stormed. It's a verb, I know it, but wait, let me read the explanation. It means move angrily or forcefully in a specified reaction. Move, okay, suddenly attack and capture, be violent. You just need to understand that it's move toward a place. Storm the offices and homes of members of the Union of Russian Workers in 12 cities. The goal was to arrest. Okay, let me. At the end of 1919, additional raids were carried out on other leftists. The only problem. Okay, so maybe D as opposed. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. The main purpose of the passage is to provide information about the Palmer rate. Yeah, because like the topic of the whole passage is the Palmer rate, so maybe A does make sense. To some extent, argue that the Palmer rates were wrong, explain rise of J. Edgar Hoover in law enforcement, and argue the Palmer rates were necessary. Yes, it does provide a lot of opinions why this is wrong. Okay, I think B, Okay, let me read the whole passage again. Because I'm really scared if this is wrong, I will stand a chance of dropping to 8th grade, so I'll need to be as certain as possible. The main purpose of the passage is G. Edgar Hoover. It does mention about G. Edgar Hoover, but does not explain in details about the rise of him, so we can eliminate the option C. Argue that Palmer rates were necessary, or provide information about the Palmer rates, or argue the Palmer rates were wrong. Let me continue reading. I'm sorry for my dad saying. During World War One, but the monitoring had not stopped when the war ended in 1918. Instead, the Palmer Justice Department had kept tabs on known oranges and a good idea where to find the people connected to the bombings. Hoover and Palmer had arrested men for simply holding opinions. Hoover and agents of the Bureau stormed offices and homes of members of the Union of Russian Workers in 12 cities. The goal was to arrest the A, but I'm really missing out between A and B. I think D is not really makes sense, so I'll eliminate C and D, but A and B is so freaking hard to choose from. So they have done so as part of the effort to win World War First. But the monitoring had not stopped when the war ended in 1918. Had kept tabs unknown. Okay, so I think A, because like includes a lot of explanations about the Palmer raids. Yeah, so I think that's it. Okay. Which of the following provides the proper order of events mentioned in the passage? Alright, so let me see. We have J. Edward Hoover is placed in charge of the Bureau of Investigation. Terrorists bomb A. Michelle Palmer's home. World War I ends, or the Union of Russian Workers' offices are raided. So let me check. World War I ends. Yeah, World War I ends like in 1918, and then come the terrorist bomb a Michelle Palmer's home, or the World War I ends, or the Union of Russian Workers' offices are raided. With 3 then comes 1, right? 3 then come 1, and then 2 terrorist bomb a Michelle Palmer's home. No, it's actually Union shockers. What is this? Oh, come on. The Bureau of Investigation. In charge is the Virgil. So 3, then 1, and 2. Are you kidding me? It's not 2. The Justice Department. A. Michelle Palmer's. The Constitution. Hoover. Oh wait, the public was outraged. Americans rape. Oh wait, it's actually like June 1919. Okay. So 3, then let me see what the so at the end of, so yeah, it's first is 3, then the 3, then the 2, 3, then the 2, then the 1, and the 4th is final. So yeah, this option. Okay, I passed the test, but I want to boost my level to the 10th grade, so I'll do it again. I'll do another quiz until I upgrade my level. Let me see how much progress I've made. You see, wait, my level dropped. That doesn't make sense because I think this is kind of hard. But yeah, so it's really fluctuated. Yeah, so I need to keep it going. Most of the time, I'll be in grade 8. Alright, so today we'll continue reading about the trend in television. So, let's start. Trend in television. Most critics argue that the most surprising trend in television in the past decade has been the growth of so-called reality television. That is, the genre of shows that claims to be about real people living real lives. But while it is for a critic to discuss the quality or lack thereof of the form, I am fair to address one point. What exactly do critics find so staggering about its emergence? In fact, shouldn't it have been obvious that the American public would latch on to reality TV? Staggering? What does that mean? I mean, maybe interesting or, yeah, astonishing. Recently, I was asked to appear on a panel to discuss this trend in American life. The moderator asked each of the panelists to trace the evolution of the genre, and most went back to the same spot, the threat of television writers' strike in 2001. They argued that the studios and networks, fearing a looming writers' strike like what they see in 1988, went about creating more programming that didn't need writers. This is technically true, but the moderator pressed them. What did network executives ever think of reality shows? Not a one of them could answer. So I tried. I argued that all television has always been about a perception of reality. No one watched I Love Lucy because they felt it was inauthentic. Likewise, a show like All in the Family seemed all too real. Didn't we all have Archie Bunker as our neighbor? Even a show like Star Trek was able to find an audience not because it was set in space, but because it was rooted in reality. Yes, the USS Enterprise is a fictional craft, but the plots of the show tended to focus metaphorically on temporary issues in our reality, like civil rights in Vietnam, etc. As television moved into the 1990s and 2000s, televisions became even more committed to realism. Scene Fade may have been officially about nothing, but it was certainly about life in the 1990s, and many people seem to gravitate to the realistic fictional White House of the West Wing. In other words, no one watches television because it is fake. Everyone watches it because it seems real. Thus, wasn't it inevitable that a medium that strove to imitate reality would eventually delve into reality itself? In describing reality vision as that genre of shows that claims to be about real people living real life, the other implies that he or she feels reality programming has been surprisingly popular in the past decade. Does not actually convey reality. It's not different from past television genres. Does not require actors or writers. Yeah, definitely, because it happens in real life, and well, people just need to tell the experience. We need any writers or actors to write the script. So yeah, I think D. Oh. Okay. B. Actually the correct answer. I don't understand. So let's read the explanation. The other refers to the genre of reality television as so-called reality television, implying that he or she is not completely comfortable using the term or has some objection to it. In saying that genre claims to be about real people living in real life, the other makes it clear that he or she feels the genre fails to live up to what it claims to do. As such, even though that the other never directly states that reality television is not, in fact, real, he or she makes it clear that he or she believes the genre is not completely rooted in reality and does not completely convey reality. Therefore, choice B is correct. So while choose D, the other never states that the reality programming does not require actors, though he or she does imply in the second paragraph that the genre does not require writers. In any case, the quotation question is not about writers and actors, so choice D is incorrect. Okay, the main function of the second paragraph is to introduce. Wait.